All right, it's 7:30, so I welcome you all to the Fridley Public School Board meeting. I will call the meeting to order. We'll begin tonight's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. We'll begin. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Stark, second by Adam, to approve the agenda for August 20th. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And the motion passes. Next up, we have our spotlight on recognition, beginning with the 2019 Hall of Fame inductees. Dr. Heil.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Riddle and school board members. I am thrilled this evening to present the 2019 Athletic Hall of Fame inductees. Our inductees induction was held at the annual golf course this summer. So this year, our 2019 Hall of Fame inductees are Cal Palmer, that represents the athlete class of 1967, Maury Roberge, who was the coach, Mike Good, who was the athletic coach of 1967, Christy Dean Nedved, which is the athlete class of 1988, Clyde Riddle, coach, Scott Dickinson, athlete class of 1975, Chad Van Hosen, athlete class of 1983, Denise Bozer Gertz, athlete class of 1988, and Glenn and Connie Van Hosen are contributors, as well as, but not least, Susan Gottwald, athlete class of 1973.
All right, certainly congratulations to those inductees. Next, we have a presentation on the referendum. Mr. Tillman.
Board Chair Riddle, board members, and Superintendent Heil. Tonight I'm going to be making a presentation on our proposed referendum that will also be presenting a resolution a little bit later on our new operating referendum that we want to propose for November election. So before I get started, one of the things as board members, this presentation is going to be available to the public. So if a public member wants to go out tonight, after tonight, they'll be able to view this presentation. And it's always important for us to include key information as it relates to the district, so we're doing that tonight. So for the folks in the room, some of us have already seen this information, but for new community members who recently have moved in, they're seeing this for the first time. So we currently serve 2,812 students across our 4 schools, 2 elementary, our middle school, and high school, as well as our area learning center. We're also on target for this upcoming school year to fill our 140 additional VBK students. Our community education center here in this building serves our community members aged birth to senior. We have 500 employees, and for clarification, we're not the largest employer, but we're in the top 10 of employers within the city of Fridley. So we'll clarify that on future presentations. We're also an international baccalaureate world school, and Fridley High School was currently ranked in the top 10 of Minnesota best high schools, as recently noted in the U.S. World News and Reports. And again, the Minnesota Hayes Elementary was identified in the Minnesota School of Excellence. So before I talk about this slide, briefly, all of our public schools rely on state, federal, and local taxes for funding, as well as our school districts rely on local levies to support capital projects and to maintain programs and staffing for their schools. So many of our school districts that are in need commonly engage in the community through surveys or focus groups. So what we did here in Fridley back in March of 2019, we conducted a survey through Baker Tilly. And one of the things that we found out during the survey that our community was really strong and focused on, based on their responses, is that some of the key things were Fridley students deserve the best education to prepare for their college and careers, ensuring that we have mental health services for our students, maintaining smaller class sizes, enhancing our opportunities for students through gifted and talented programs, minimizing our impacts to staff reductions, and maintaining educational programs for our students. So when we did this survey, we wanted to receive the feedback from our community, and when we were careful as we were building out this presentation and we were coming up with what we wanted our referendum to be, we listened to our community, and that's what we're asking for. So what this chart here is, this currently depicts districts throughout the surrounding area, and the reason these districts were selected is that we work with Ehlers, our financial advisors, who uses a benchmark model. And in that benchmark model, they have certain data that they evaluate, and then in their scoring system that they use, Fridley compares to these other districts as it relates to comparable size, student population as it relates to our special education, as well as our free and reduced population, and then location within close proximity. So one of the things I wanted to highlight here is that Fridley, as you can see, is currently, the lowest of all the districts here on this chart, as well as we're well below the metro and state average in funding. And if we propose and we approve this resolution, and in November, if the voters approve the resolution, our new amount would be $1221.83, and you can tell we would still be well below the state average in funding, even if this is approved. Just wanted to highlight that.
That number is the annual revenue per student, correct?
Yes, that is the annual revenue per student, not taxes. That would be the annual revenue that we would get per pupil student. So what are we proposing? So we're proposing a revoke and replace. So why are we asking? So Fridley, like all public school districts, we rely on state funding, federal aid, local taxes to provide our education to our community. Our current operating levy of $187.93 was renewed in 2015 and does not include inflation. Our current levy funding is not adequate to maintain our district operational needs such as programs for students, staffing, class sizes, student activities, and support for students that include our mental health services. As well as our state funding has not kept up with inflation, and costs continue to rise to support staffing needs, academic programs, student cost services, and student activities. So what are we asking? The district is proposing an operating referendum increase of $310 to the existing levy of $187.93, with inflation for a period of 10 years running out till FY 2030. And the new levy would be $487.93 in year one, taxables paid in 2020. So the new levy would result in a tax increase of $88 per year, or $7.33 a month, on an average priced home valued at $150,000. And then the revenue that would be generated from this new referendum would be roughly $1.5 million in year one for any programs and support services for our students. I know that was a lot to digest. So does anybody have any questions on that specifically?
So the number that we arrived at, the $88 a year, can you tell us a little bit how that one was arrived at?
Yes. So when we did our survey back in March, and Baker Tilly conducted the analysis of all the data, what they arrived at based on the input from the community, that the community would be able to support an $88 annual increase based on a $150,000 home. So we listened to our community, we're respecting what they told us, and that's why we're moving forward or recommending this increase of $88, which results in $310 of additional revenue per pupil student. So how is this going to impact our homeowners here in Fridley? So we kind of put together a chart here, kind of depict the market value of homes. So on a $100,000 home, that would be an annual tax impact of roughly $59. We spoke to the $150,000 home. The $200,000 home would be $117. The $300,000 home would be $176, and then the $400,000 home would be $235. And then we also added a column here to kind of highlight what that monthly tax impact would be. So based on the value of the homes outlined here in the chart, you would be roughly around $5 per month up to $19.58 per month on that high-value home. And what we're showing here, this would be the sample ballot question that the community members would see when they go to the ballot. If this is approved tonight, this would be added to the ballot question on November 5th, and this is what they would see. So this is statutory or legal language that we have to have and include. I know if a taxpayer was to see this for the first time, it could look kind of confusing for them. So one of our goals if it is approved tonight, is between now and election, is we would be holding numerous sessions with the community, staff, district, making sure we can educate all of the voters, just so when if they go to vote, they can make an informed decision, because it is kind of confusing when you first look at it. But something I wanted to highlight here we'd be revoking the current one of 187. Would be replacing that new authorization with the 497.43, and then we would be tying inflation to that as well for a applicable of 10 years. And the reason we're adding inflation to that is, in working with Ellers again, a lot of the districts, when they're proposing their new referendums now, they're attaching inflation to them. So we're just kind of following what other districts are currently doing in the metro and across the state. So some key next steps. So if the school board tonight approves, we would send the board-approved resolution along with the associated documents to Anoka County Election Office, as well as the Commissioner of Education. The district would start, providing several informational and engagement opportunities in the community through now and November. And then another key piece is that the district will follow school referendum campaign guidelines as outlined by the Minnesota School Board of Association to provide information to parents, staff, and community members. So kind of after tonight, if we approve, that's kind of when all the legwork starts. So everyone's voice matters. And I'll take any questions if the board members have any at this time.
No.
None at this time.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you.
With that, we'll move to the next on the superintendent and staff reports on our agenda item would be the district annual report video. Ms. McLemore. You don't have to follow students.
I know, but this is a good one. Board Chair Riddle, board members, and Superintendent Heil, it is my pleasure tonight to introduce the 2018-2019 school year annual report in a video format. So what you're going to see today is really a snippet of every great thing and wonderful things that have happened in our school district in terms of student success, staff success. We've had a very busy year. We have completed our first year with our new superintendent, Dr. Heil, and we began a journey that we have been talking about and sharing with our community all year of Fridley Public Schools becoming the best place to learn for students and the best place to work for staff. So this is just a snippet of what our year has looked like. It's really a highlight. The expanded version is going to be mailed to our community members sometimes in the next couple of weeks, which is our annual report to our community. We mail this to every household within the Fridley School District. So that's a little bit more narrative, but it's also a summary of some of the work that the communications team gets to be a part of every single year. And I do want to say that our team consists of 3 individuals. Sarah Berghart works in terms of producing the publication itself, and David Weber, who is our videographer and is also videotaping this school board meeting, works on this particular video report. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them. They do amazing work. Thank you.
Welcome to Fridley Public Schools, an International Baccalaureate World Schools District 2018-2019 Year in Review. In the 2018-2019 school year, Fridley Public Schools began a journey to become the best place to learn for students and the best place to work for staff. The district's goal is to create and develop guidelines and processes that will ensure each student in the district receives equitable resources, opportunities, and an education not only highly rigorous through the IB, but also culturally relevant and responsive to the needs of our students. This goal aims to raise achievement for all by ensuring that each student has equitable opportunity to succeed in a safe and welcoming learning environment that values and nurtures student potential. The plans and policies for the district can be more successful with the support of parents, guardians, and community. In our district's first community forum, held in May 2019, Superintendent Dr. Kim Heil, district and school administrators, as well as members of the school board, listened and learned as parents and community members shared with them what they value in our schools and areas where we can better serve our families and students. The feedback parents and community members shared at the forum will be incorporated into the district's operational plan for improvement.
Hello, Fridley staff, students, parents, and community members. It's another end of the school year, and I can't believe 1 year has gone by. I appreciate the work that we have done this year. I have listened, I've learned, we have worked together all around one thing, the success of our students. I thank you for that. I thank you, our community members that only wants the best for Fridley. I thank our parents who wants to ensure that your child's dreams are met. And I want to thank our staff for the hard work that you do every day to ensure that our students are successful. And our students, I thank you every day for bringing me joy and for working hard to graduate and reach your goals. So Fridley, it's been an outstanding year, and I look forward to having follow through and meeting the goals that we need to meet to make Fridley the best place to learn, the best place to work. Thank you for your collaboration.
Students in the district took advantage of opportunities to learn and grow throughout the school year, and we are proud to celebrate their successes. Our young lifelong learners are preparing for college and careers, whether in the classroom or in competitive extracurricular activities that teach leadership skills, collaboration, strong character, and support social-emotional wellness. Fridley students enjoyed a multitude of enrichments to their classroom studies. Their additional accomplishments promote self-confidence and collaboration with others. These experiences they gain will be pivotal as they prepare for college and careers. We welcome the newest learners to the district and are excited to see them embark on their educational journeys.
During the summer of 2018, Fridley Public Schools completed the final phase of its 3-year building bonds projects. We thank you, the community, for voting to approve the much-needed upgrades and repairs that have occurred over the past 3 summers. Many of you have visited the high school this past year to attend events, plays, concerts, or to volunteer, may have noticed the changes we have made to our building entry points. The high school's main entrance was moved and enhanced to better direct traffic into and out of the building, with safety and security being the primary focus. The new gym entrance at the high school provides a welcoming yet secure set of doors directly off the main parking lot. Our district's administrative offices were reconfigured for better use of space and functionality. The Fridley Community Center also received significant upgrades with new restrooms and reconfigured office space. In addition, a secure middle partition controls traffic between the 2 halves of the building, ensuring our early childhood, preschool, and Tiger Club children have a designated safe space. As part of the district's commitment to safety, the middle school main parking lot was resurfaced and permanent drop-off pickup loop completed in front of the school. The high school lot was also resurfaced and visitor parking extended. Across the district, hydration stations were set in place, providing purified drinking water to all students, staff, and visitors. All of these much-needed upgrades would not have happened without the support of our community. Your continued support has helped the district to create much safer learning environments for our staff, our families, and most importantly, our students.
Each year, Fridley Public Schools enjoys rich and rewarding partnerships with families and community members, as well as community organizations. These supportive partnerships surround our students and schools with a wealth of benefits, such as school and classroom supplies, mentoring, internship opportunities, scholarships, enrichment opportunities, and a community that cares about its students and schools. Our students, in turn, learn the value of service and giving back to its community, both locally and globally. Thank you to our community for your continued support. We welcome new leaders and administrators who will support the district's strategic goal of becoming the best place to learn and the best place to work. And we thank those who have contributed so much to Fridley Public Schools as they enter retirement. We appreciate you being a part of this journey.
Thank you, Jael. That's wonderful. Thank you to David,
Whole
to
team.
Sarah, everyone that helped on that. So it's wonderful. All right, next up we begin our business action items, beginning with a resolution revoking the existing referendum revenue authorization of the school district and approving a new authorization and calling for an election.
Again, Board Chair Riddle, board members, and Superintendent Heil. So as we discussed in our work session, I kind of just wanted to highlight the actual resolution that you'll be reviewing and approving tonight, or voting on to approve. So the resolution has a lot of required legal language as it relates to the Minnesota statute of what we have to have in the resolution for the operating referendum. So if approved tonight, the board would hereby determine and declare that it is necessary and expedient for the school district to revoke its existing referendum revenue authorization of $187.43 per adjusted pupil unit and replace that authorization with a new authorization of $497.43 per adjusted pupil unit. Another thing I want to highlight is that this proposed referendum revenue authorization would increase each year by rate of inflation and be applicable for 10 years unless otherwise revoked or reduced as provided by law. For this purpose, the rate of inflation shall be the annual inflationary increase calculated under Minnesota Statute Section 126 C17. And then on question 1 of the school district ballot, if the new referendum revenue authorization is approved by the voters of the school district, the existing $187.43 per adjusted pupil unit shall be revoked effective after taxes payable in 2019 and then replaced with that new one of $497.43. And I just want to highlight that the election would take place on Tuesday, November 5th, between the hours of 7 a.m. and 8 p.m., located here at the FCC. And we also will have early voting, and we will also get those dates out as well to the community, so they'll be aware of those as well.
Now, this is for our operating levy only.
This is for
doesn't
the
affect any
operating
other-
levy. That's correct, Chris.
Right, thank you.
Other quick question. So just to clarify, if the amendment is not passed by the voters, the levy that's in place now will not be revoked.
That is correct. It stays in
Yes.
place.
Okay.
The 187.43 would stay in place.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion to revoke the existing referendum revenue authorization for the school district and approving the new authorization and calling for an election thereon?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Delvo, seconded by Stark, to revoke and replace. With that, any further discussion? Clerk, can you call the roll?
Mr. Adam?
Aye.
Ms. Delville?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Ms. Stark?
Aye.
And the resolution passes. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution accepting gifts. Every month, we've had lots of fortunate that our community favors us and does give us donations on a monthly basis. And in the past month, the following persons donated to Hayes Elementary. The Target Distribution Center provided some gift cards, and Walmart provided folders. To the Fridley School District, the Fridley School Foundation donated $6,750 for literacy materials at each building. With that, do I have a motion to accept the gifts and thank the donors for their contributions?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Adam, seconded by Delvo, to accept the gifts and thank the donors for their contributions. Any further discussion? If not, clerk, could you please call the roll again?
Mr. Adam?
Aye.
Ms. Delville?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Ms. Stark?
Aye.
And the resolution passes. Next up, the final business action item for the evening is a second reading and adoption of Policy 105, Equity and Inclusion. Ms. McLemore.
Board Chair Riddle, board members, and Superintendent Dr. Heil. Tonight I'm presenting School Board Policy 105, Equity and Inclusion. During our first reading of the policy in our July meeting, there were some recommended changes that we needed to make, just minor editing, and making sure that the word inclusion and inclusive was added to equitable, which was already embedded in the policy. So those changes have been implemented, and it's being presented to you for approval tonight.
All right, thank you. We certainly thank you for all the time and effort you and Ms. Samaha put in on this. In fact, we need to have you come up on camera. We're not going to let you get away that easy, because this was a lot. This is a lot. We are the third district probably to have, or even fifth district in the state to have an equity and inclusion policy. So for a district the size of Fridley to have something like that is just says something about the people we have working here, and we want to thank you for that. So.
Well, I just also wanted to thank you, Board Chair Riddle, and the board and Superintendent Dr. Heil for this opportunity, because truly it's an honor, and I'm very humbled to work with this community. We have had many opportunities for parents and guardians and faith-based leaders and students and staff, and to be in those spaces was very powerful, and hence why we're able to have an equity and inclusion policy. And so I just want to take this moment to truly thank all of you for your leadership and for creating this opportunity for our community, because it is definitely a moment in history, and I'm very grateful and blessed to be part of this community. So thank you.
Thank you.
With that, do I have a motion to approve the second reading and adoption of Policy 105, Equity and Inclusion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Stark, seconded by Adam, to accept the second reading and adoption of Policy 105. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Moving, next up is the consent agenda, which is the minutes of the school board business meeting and work session that were held on July 16th, 2019. Monthly financial reports, new contracts, amendments, leave of absence, termination, resignations, and requirements. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Delvo and a second by Stark to approve the consent agenda of routine action items as previously read off. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Next, we have our monthly financial reports, the treasurer's report. Oh, excuse me, that was part of the consent agenda, what I'm thinking. I'm sorry, I'm looking right at the next thing around. That was part of that one. So it actually is reports from school board members, beginning with the Northeast Metro 916 board meeting that was held on August 7th. Ms. Doval.
Yes, Chair Riddle. We had a fairly light meeting this month, but approved superintendent evaluation and some board committee assignments, as well as some organizational chart changes, doing some succession planning and moving people around within the organization. We also approved, this was significant, we approved new access fee and tuition rates for non-member districts for 916 to make that more equitable with the membership district, the districts who are members of 916. So the costs are more comparable to those non-member districts. Member districts have the priority for access to 916, but there are times when non-member districts are also able to utilize the services, and so this just makes it more of a level playing field. We did have the retirement of Jane Palany, who was an office assistant for 41 years of service at District 916. So they're losing some people who have been around 30 plus years, and she happens to be, I think, the longest there. And that kind of wraps it up for our August meeting.
All right, thank you. Next would be a report on the Association of Metropolitan School Districts board meeting held August 9th. Dr. Heil.
All right, thank you. At the AMSD meeting, there was an approval of new officers for the executive committee members, which I will actually sit on that committee this year for 3 years, for the new legislative committee members, as well as election of officers. There was also a presentation for the AMSD Friends of Public Education Award, and that went to Dr. Tom Melcher, who is the Minnesota Department of Education, works in the finance division, and he has worked there for over 40 years and very, very knowledgeable person to have at MDE working in finance. We had a very interesting presentation from Dr. Susan Bauer, and she's a Minnesota State demographer. And she just commented and gave us some background on the census, the 2020 census, which will be held in April of 2020. She informed us that there will only be 10 questions on that census ballot, and basically it's a basic count that is collected. So it will look a lot like the 2010 census information, and the citizen question will not be asked, so that would not be part of the 2020 census. She also wanted to inform us that through the Title 13 federal code, that is very high security protection in those information is gathered, and that information is actually protected for 72 years. The reason for the census was to have equal representation, to have fair distribution of resources, as well as data to help make smart decisions on where funding should go. She gave us a fact that $15 billion federal dollars are distributed to Minnesota each year on the basis of the census count. So it's very important for those census to be filled out. As a demographic, she was giving us more information about the state of Minnesota, and she was saying we have seen growth over the last 2 years, more in the Twin Cities area, in the central cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. So she said the growth was due to the millennials, and those are generally our ones that are in the age around 20-something and have no children. And basically they're moving into the housing that's downtown and around the lakes of Calhoun and such. She remarked that this generation is slow to make the transition to purchasing homes, as well as slow to having children, so that will make an impact on the population in the future. She also said there's a change in the older adults of 65 and older. There are more early retirements. So this will have more, at this point, we will have more older adults than we will have school-age children. We'll say that again. We're at the point where we will have more older adults in the next few years than school-age children. So both of these statements or concerns will have a large impact on our workforce. She did say as well, over the previous 13 years, we had more people leaving Minnesota than coming into Minnesota, but we have been strong in just the last 2 years that more people are coming than leaving because of job opportunities that we have here. So that's a report from AMSD.
All right, thank you very much. Next up is important future school board dates. The next Northeast Metro 916 board meeting will be held September 4th, 2019 at 6 p.m. at the Bel Air School. AMSD board meeting September 6th at 7 a.m. at the Cora Education Center. Our next Fridley Public School board meeting will be held September 17th the work session at 5:30, open forum at 7 o'clock, and the business meeting at 7:30 here at the Fridley Community Center. And also, a big event coming up on September 18th at 4:30 in the afternoon. The Fridley Schools Foundation has Get Your Paws Moving. It's a walk that'll be taking place at Bob O'Neill Field, otherwise known as the football field, so at the high school. And if you're interested in joining that, certainly can go to the Fridley Schools Foundation website and learn more about that.
Chair Riddle, if I can also add, we have a very large event happening at Fridley this Saturday, Fridley Middle School. It's our resource fair, and it's for Fridley families where they're able to come. We have many vendors there where they're able to come get backpacks and school supplies amongst many other items for families. And they can also fill out lunch forms and various other things when they're there. So I just wanted to let everyone know that's 10:30 on Saturday at Fridley Middle School,
All right.
So what time the end?
12:30.
All right. Thank you very much. If anybody else have anything else for us this evening? If not, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
A motion by Delvo, seconded by Adam to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we are adjourned at 8:06. Thank you.
Thank you.